Hear you now.
Giants are on the clock.
Let's go!
Cleveland! To the end zone. Yes!
Has got it on the run. Michael Parsons.
Guys that can break open games.
The New York Giants select Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley.
Picked off by Xavier McKinney, and the rookies are coming through big time today.
This young man is about to go to the New York Giants and play in New York City. Wow.
Welcome into Giants Draft Party Live, presented by Pepsi. I'm Madeline Burke here with Giants Super Bowl champion Sean O'Hara. Sean, it's draft night. Can you believe it?
Hi, Madeline. Yeah, it's exciting. It's finally here. There's been so much buildup, and now I know Giants fans can't wait to see the newest member of the New York Giants.
Absolutely. The Giants own 6 picks in the 2021 NFL Draft, but the one that they have tonight is the number 11 overall draft, and so much could happen between that first pick and that 11th pick, Sean. The options are endless, really. What are you feeling so far?
Yeah, it's a great position for the Giants to be in right now. I think with some of the moves they made in free agency, with getting some defensive help at corner with Adoree Jackson, and then offensively with Golladay, with Rudolph, with John Ross, I think that now they can sit here with this draft, with this 11th pick, and look, if a player slides that they had graded in the top 5 and happens to fall into their lap, it's a great position for them to be in. So they're sitting pretty right now, and I'll say this, I know there's a lot of excitement for those picks. We've got a lot of excitement on this show here, Madeline, because we've got some great NFL legends that are going to join us tonight. So we got an action-packed hour right here.
Action-packed hour. As you can see, we got the little timer running here, about 56, 57 minutes until the draft starts. And we've got a lot of guests joining us tonight. We'll hear from Daniel Jones. We'll hear from Logan Ryan, James Bradberry. But first, we are joined by our very own Victor Cruz, Super Bowl champion Victor Cruz, as well as Super Bowl champion, Hall of Famer and TV personality Michael Strahan. Fellas, thanks for coming by on draft night.
No, thank you. Yeah. You guys hear that echo like I do?
Some technical difficulties going on here, but you know, we've seen them.
We've stumped him. Usually he's always ready to rock and roll. Victor, it's great to see you, my man. Thank you guys for joining us, and hopefully you guys can hear us and chime in whenever you're ready. If you guys are ready.
We can hear you. We hear you a little bit.
I get a lot of echo. Sound like I'm in a tunnel, like I'm inside of O'Hara's helmet. Big old head.
Coming out of Texas Southern, what was going through your mind when you heard your name called and you knew you were a New York Giant?
Oh, for me, I was scared, man. I didn't think the Giants were gonna pick me. Earl Leggett, who was the defensive line coach at the time, came down to TSU and would like just hang in the back. He never talked to me really. So I thought I was going to another team. The Cowboys had one of their reps in the house with me, watching the draft with me, and they had flown me into Dallas and told me I was going to be a Cowboy. So I was surprised. I was scared. I thought they didn't need me because they had Lawrence Taylor, and I did not necessarily want to play in a place that was cold.
What was it like the first time you walked into that locker room?
Walking into that locker room? Oh, man. The first time in the locker room, I remember Phil Simms said, "Hey, Michael, how you doing?" Scared. I was like, oh, my God, Phil Simms knows my name. LT came in, but he glided. He didn't walk. He just kind of like he was on a conveyor belt. He just through the room. And it was intimidating because I saw guys who were so much bigger, so much more muscular, so much stronger. And I thought, if I have to look like that, I'm never going to make it in this league. So it was intimidating when I first got there, especially coming from Texas Southern and not really seeing guys that size and understanding that now this is actually a job. This is not college. This is not really for fun. This is a job.
So, Tracy, speaking about some fun, I got to ask you about the clothing. I'm a guy that likes to get fresh myself, as you know. So I got to ask you, you've been heavy in the fashion stuff lately, obviously doing the stuff with your brand and things like that. Give us, for the people that don't know about how involved you are with fashion, your polo is a collaborative design that you worked on that's looking very fresh. Talk to the people about what you got going on the fashion side.
I got to represent my team today, baby. It's the draft in less than an hour. But yeah, we have MSX by Michael Strahan. We teamed up with G3, so it's actually two giants. Me and Carl Banks teamed up to create this line, and it's at it's fantastic. It's at I'm blanking right now. All the team stores, Fanatics. It's at Men's Warehouse and also the Moore stores around the country. So it's a lot of fun, and I love kind of going full circle, starting out in football, going to do what I do now, getting to the fashion game, but then the fashion comes around from suits and ties and athleisure or work leisure, as we call it now, with the way that COVID's made everybody zoom in, to going back to sports and putting something out there that's cool, that's fashionable, that's comfortable, that's affordable, that the fans can wear and support their favorite teams. And, obviously I'm biased on who my favorite team is, man.
It's a strong team to rep. And speaking of it, Stray, we've got the Giants on the clock at number 11 later tonight. If you're picking, who do you want to see wearing a Giants jersey next year?
Man, anybody that can help. I think getting Galladay at the free agent, that was a big move for us. Because if not, I would say if one of those receivers fall to us from Alabama, you got to take Waddle, you got to take Smith, you got to take one of those guys. If not, I just want to see an impact player. I think defensively it'd be nice to have an impact player because I think offensively with Saquon coming back and some of the guys that they've added, I think your offensive line will be better this year, that you can afford to go defense and try to get an impact player that teams are going to have to prepare for on Sundays. And I think they have a good young core on defense. Guys made some plays last year. And I like what Joe Judge is doing. So I just think this is a team that definitely is on the rise. And there's a difference between, this team is close to winning all the time. I think once they get the confidence and expect to win these games instead of becoming close, that the Giants should win the division. They had a great chance to win it last year. And by far, we're nowhere near what they could be this season. So I'm looking forward to see them play, but we just need an impact player, I feel like, defensively.
Stray, I'm with you, my man. Anytime you can have guys that could get after the quarterback. I remember when we had you and OC and we drafted Justin Tuck, and everybody's like, man, what are we doing? We got another pass rusher? Yeah, guess what? On third down, Justin Tuck was inside. He was over the guard, and he created some great mismatches, as you remember, the NASCAR package. That was great. So no doubt you can't have too many guys that get after the quarterback, too many pass rushers. Victor, I know you love to see a little salsa out there, so you got your eye on any of these receivers in this draft in case they fall to the Giants at 11?
Of course. That Alabama duo is definitely on the list. You know what I mean? Like, if we got a chance to get one of those guys, it's going to thoroughly improve our receiving core. And then you want that competition in there, right? You're going to have a bunch of guys that are going to be fighting, that are going to be, trying to fight for that hierarchy of the receiving core. And that's what you want, that healthy competition to come in there and learn and be in an environment. I know we all know the Giants in their environments are always healthy for young players to be a part of. And I'm excited for one of those Alabama guys to potentially fall to the great for the Giants' hands. Please.
Just, you gotta get the hands in the right position and fall, and they'll catch it, right?
Well, speaking of things falling, look, I can't wait for some of Michael's new clothing line to just kind of fall into my lap.
I know you got a women's line.
I'm not scared to rock some of that G-Men that you're rocking on the side. I want my shirt to say "Stomp You Out" somewhere, maybe on the collar, maybe on the back right here. You
want the catchphrase on your shirt.
Yeah.
You know what, Sean? Yeah. You've always been cheap. So I'm going to send you some stuff, man, for free. Victor, I'm sending Victor some stuff because Victor offered me one of those diamond chains that he's wearing. I said, nah, Vic, you know what? That's too much, man. I'm just going to send you stuff. You just flat out asked because you're cheap. Now I'm going to take care of you too, man. I got you. Don't worry. I got all three of you. I will take care of you, women's, everything. I got you.
Hey, if you don't ask. All right, Michael Strahan, thank you so much for stopping by the program. Victor Cruz, I know we're going to see you in a little bit. What do you have coming up for us, Vic?
Go Giants.
Yeah, I'm excited, guys. Go Giants. And speaking of Giants, I spoke with two legends, Tracy Morgan and Carl Banks. Can't wait for you guys to check it out. It's going to be incredible. We're coming back with that later on today. And, so stay tuned.
All right, we'll see you in just a little bit.
There it is.
All right, always a good time seeing those fellas, right?
Yeah, it's great, man. Love those guys.
Gotta love those guys, bringing back that championship mentality, the Super Bowl mentality. Another guy who's trying to bring that Super Bowl mentality back into this organization is head coach Joe Judge. And Sean, I know earlier you had a chance to catch up with head coach Joe Judge. Let's take a listen to how that conversation went.
Coach, always great to see you. Let's jump right into this offseason, year 2 for you. And I tell you, it's not been easy. Different challenges this year compared to last year. Obviously, this year, no combine. And a lot of players opted out last season in college football. So what were some of the unique challenges that you experienced this year as you're trying to collect data on these players?
Well, I'd say directly dealing with the draft players, not having a combine was different, because even though we were virtual for the majority of the draft process last year, that combine really was a jump start for probably every team in the league, getting to put hands on guys, have some FaceTime with them. It really helps you out, get a feel for the person. We've definitely adjusted, and, using Zoom now is not something that's foreign to any of us. I'd say the players and the coaches and the scouts, we've all really learned how to use that efficiently and make that as much as an in-person interview as possible. That's what we had to use with. We made it, as good as we can. We had the opportunity this year to actually go to a few pro days. That's an advantage over last year when they canceled the majority of them. So there's some give and take into what you can use, but it's the information that's available. It's definitely a challenge. With the opt-out part of it, you've got to treat every case individual. There was differences in different conferences. There was differences on a person-by-person basis. Some guys opted out before the season and you got no film on them. Some guys opted out for different reasons in the season. And again, you've got to look at the whole picture, on an individual basis and put that together on whether or not you think that is something that fits what you're looking to do, and if that player's got what you're looking to build your team with.
Yeah, and I'm sure getting around to the pro days kind of helped as you're trying to figure out, all right, what were the reasons for the opt-outs, and what kind of person am I getting along with the player. A big part of the offseason, obviously, is free agency. You guys were very active in that, and I don't know who's happier, Daniel Jones or Jason Garrett, with some of the offensive additions. Let's start with Kenny Golladay on the outside, John Ross as a possible slot receiver, and then Kyle Rudolph at tight end. What are those guys bringing to this offense?
Well, I'd say every player we added to our roster really, we saw as being someone that makes us competitive within a roster, for everyone to come in here and really push each other for playing time on the field. Everyone has their own strengths and what we're going to look to use them for. And again, we're always going to gear the offense, defense, and special teams to the players we have available and play to their strengths. Look, we had the opportunity with some guys that were available to be able to talk to them and add them to our team. We're excited about every player we added, specifically the guys you asked about, Kenny. Look, Kenny's a big physical receiver. He's got a real good catch radius. He's really excelled in contested catches. And that's something that really shows up on third down the red area, which are really critical areas of the game you have to win on. Much the same with Kyle. Kyle's an experienced player. I think you see the evolution of his career from being more of a receiving F to, a blocking Y. And he really has that split skill set where, you can use him in the pass game and run game equally effective. You love the experience he brings. You love the leadership he brings to the team. He's a guy we're very excited about having. And, I think he really adds to the strength we have in that tight end room. We have a lot of guys in that room who are very competitive. None of them have identical skill sets. So it brings a lot of versatility to how we can go ahead and attack as an offense. And then John Ross, look, speed jumps out at you with this guy. I mean, he's fast, and you can't coach speed. So to have someone that can run that way and give the opportunity, build him into packages and schemes that really stress the defense, that's something we're looking to use. But, I mean, look, you have guys like Darius Slayton, who's got a lot of speed. It just gives you more players that top-end speed to stretch it. But, like anybody else, these guys got to get in here. They have to compete and they have to earn what they get.
Yeah, it's always great to have that speed on the outside. It definitely helps any quarterback when you're trying to stretch the field. Let's flip it to the other side of the football defensively. A guy that a lot of Giants fans may not know a whole lot about, Adoree Jackson, the starting corner for the Tennessee Titans for the last 4 years, a very physical corner. And then also inside, you guys picked up Odenigbo from the Minnesota Vikings. What can you tell Giants fans about those two players and what they're going to be as New York Giants?
Yeah, listen, I think the one thing we're always building on defense, and again, we talk all the time about being a multiple team and having a lot of versatility, and you have to be multiple and versatile on the back end. One thing Adoree really gives us is some versatility in terms of being athletic and a lot of speed to run with speed guys. He's got the ability to play in the perimeter, slot him inside if we have to with a certain matchup. Guys like him and Darnay really excel in those positions inside, but this guy can play inside or outside. He's got some safety flex if we ever want to get there to him. But this guy brings some dynamic ability. As a punt returner, kick returner as well. He's excelled in his career, both in college and the NFL. We're excited to have him. And again, we really look at him in terms of someone who's going to help us really be more multiple in that back end. You talk about on the edge, with Ifedi, look, he's a high motor rusher. He's a guy that, Pat Spence and Kevin Shearer are going to really work to use in different packages. But along with all of our guys on the edge, Reggie Ragland, Ryan Anderson, guys we've added right there, with X-Man and Zoe. And we'll move these guys around for the best advantage we can find for them within the game plans.
There's a lot of excitement, obviously, for Giants fans coming into the draft and based on the free agency moves. I know last year, one of your big mission statements was to restore New York Giant pride. You wanted Giants fans to feel proud when they put a helmet on or a hat or a jersey or a sweatshirt. Having done that, and I feel like the second half of the season last year, no doubt about it, the defense was the strength, and you have helped instill that pride back for Giants fans. What's the next step for the Giants this year?
Well, look, we're always looking to build and secure a foundation. That's never just a year one thing, okay? So we've got to keep on making sure that we build and secure the identity of being a tough, physical, fundamentally sound football team. We want to play smart football, all right? But we talk about our team this year. Look, we're going to keep it day by day, and the stress I'm going to have on these players, through spring and training camp is I expect to see daily improvement. I expect that from our coaches. I expect that from our players. I want to see everybody improve on a daily basis. You do it a little bit at a time. It adds up to a big factor at the end of that process. So, as a team, right now at this time of year, our focus is really on individual improvement with our techniques, our conditioning, our stamina, our strength gains. As we get together as a team, it's more about getting continuity within the position groups, the units, and eventually as a team. But whether it's individual or it's collective, I intend to see improvement on a daily basis.
Coach, I know everybody's excited about tonight and as well as the rest of the weekend with the draft coming. So, look, hydration is key. So I'm just curious, what's the over-under on possible Mountain Dews and cups of coffee tonight?
It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a long night. A lot of thinking. I'll be all jacked up on Mountain Dew. So it should make for some interesting conversations.
All right, Coach. Sounds great. Looking forward to it. Good luck tonight and the rest of the weekend.
I appreciate it, Sean.
Head coach Joe Judge with Sean O'Hara. Sean, you got to get those Mountain Dews and those coffee flowing right there.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be all hopped up on Mountain Dew. We're all hopped up on Dunkin' Donuts coffee right now.
We are caffeinated and ready for this draft. And I mean, this has been a fun. Coach Judge really has made an impact already on the culture of this organization. How would you describe that?
Yeah, that's definitely a big factor in it. I think his message has been clear and consistent, and it shows up in when he talks about players, shows up with how he talks and coaches them. So I think what you look at with free agency, you look at some of the veterans, look, they want a new contract, they want money, but they also want to go play for somebody that the players like. And the fact that free agents are willing to come here to the Giants says a lot about Joe Judge and his staff.
Absolutely. Now it's time to bring back our guy, Victor Cruz, because he's got a couple of special guests with him. Let's send it over to Vic.
I am joined by Carl Banks and Tracy Morgan.
Carl Banks in the house. Holla at me.
What up, man?
I've been watching reruns, man, since the whole thing started, man. I'm back in 85 and all of that, man. I remember when y'all won the Super. I remember when Joe Morris came to my school.
Oh, that's so tough.
I was a tailback. I ran a 4.5 and a 40 as a junior. But you touched me and I broke a bone. I was too right in the ass, man. I know Michigan wanted me. I know Nebraska wanted me. I look just like Mike Rose. Don't I look like Mike Rose? And I'll tell you something, man. And I'm going to tell you something. I know for sure Tony Dorsett is my biological father.
That's so funny.
As you can see, we're off to a hot start, ladies and gentlemen. Carl, I want to start with you. As the draft approaches, what's your favorite memory from draft day? What's your favorite moment when your name got called or when you found out you were drafted? What was your favorite moment?
I was just sitting in my coach's office, and like for me, I was just like hoping I got drafted, and I was the 3rd pick overall. So I was like, wow, this is dope. And then it was like, oh, it's New York. I'm like, well, they got like 4 all-pro linebackers there. So when Parcells called me and said he didn't draft me to sit me on the bench, I was like, okay, well then I'm gonna just go do what I do.
The way I entered the league was a little different, coming in undrafted and having to fight and scratch. But it was weird because I always embodied that like New York atmosphere and that New York lifestyle and that hard-nosed, that kind of lunch pail to work mentality. But I knew on draft day that I wasn't 6'5", 220, running a 4.3. Like I just wasn't that guy. So I was a realist about my opportunities and where I was going. And when the Giants called, I was just like, man, I got to try this at home. Mind you, at the time, the Giants had 10 receivers, all young boys, Hakeem Nicks, Mario Manningham, Steve Smith. Like I was going into the jungle, and luckily I made it out. I made it out alive, so to speak. So that journey was a special one, man. And with a ring.
With a ring. Come on, man.
And a ring. Let's be clear.
You got to be thankful for that. You ain't going to ask me my experience when I got drafted?
How did it feel when you got drafted, Tracy?
I drafted to Houston. They really picked me over Earl Campbell. But, that's another story.
Trace, how did you, for the people that don't know, how did you become such a Giants fan? Like, what started the fandom for you?
My dad, my Uncle Alvin, when I was 10, took me to the game, and that was it. That was it, man. I'm a New Yorker. It don't make sense for me to be a fan of nobody else. I'm a New Yorker, man. And you know what John Lennon called New York City? He called it Rome. When you play for the Giants, you're a gladiator, man. We are New Yorkers. We're Giants, man. We have to have that pride.
That's what's up. Hey, Carl, switching gears real quick to go back to football a little bit. What do you think the biggest needs are for the Giants in the draft this year?
You know what? You can never have enough good offensive linemen when you got a quarterback that you've invested in, that you believe in, and you of all people know, like receivers, they every once in a while they want to run a deep route.
Hey, Carl, don't do this to me. I'm hoping we get Jalen Waddle or Devontae or one of these game.
Yeah, I got that.
People, don't hit me with this O-line talk.
Listen, you of all people know, short routes are fun, but every once in a while you want to have some time to get behind somebody, and the quarterback needs some type of protection. Now, they've done a good job the last year and a half of trying to get the pieces in place, right? But, if you want a quarterback that have a run like Eli Manning, you got to protect them. Yes, I love Waddle. I love Parsons also. Mm-hmm. But if you got a guy like Slater sitting there, and I'm going to reverse the question. So if you got one of the top offensive linemen, one of the top wide receivers, and one of the top linebackers, you flip a coin, what do you do?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's all about where you see the team, where you have depth at, right? Where do you see the depth? Where do you see that your players are your impact players that you have on the roster already, and how you believe in them, and then you make the decision on draft day whether you go receiver or whether you go, offensive lineman or whatever other category. But it's definitely some tough decisions to make, but it's interesting. Tracy, coming to you this year, obviously, hopefully, crossing our fingers, we'll have fans back in the stadium and people moving around again, getting that New York feel. What are you most excited about getting back into that stadium and feeling that energy again?
Being a fan, man, is when the stadium is rocking. It's not like it. I'm quite sure y'all felt it on the field. When it's rocking, it's rocking. And you miss that. It's like football, sports are the only thing that bring everyone from every culture background together as one. And you really feel that. Like everyone in boxes and the seats next to you is hugging and all that. You miss that camaraderie.
What you working on right now? You on the OG? You on the set of the OG right now? What can we expect?
With me, man. You and your lady been on the show, man. We filming. I'm filming right now. We got some nice shoots today, and the season's looking really, really strong this day. I feel great. My writers, my showrunners, everyone's doing well.
This conversation has been incredible. I appreciate both of y'all. Carl, always being a legend, the legend that you are, and changing the game. And Tracy, you being a legend in your own right and doing your thing, and you always family on this side. You know that. So let's swing it back to Madeline
wait, one more thing, though.
One more thing.
One more thing. To both of you guys, right? Continue to be an inspiration because I'm inspired by both of you.
I love you guys.
That car. Love you guys, man. Let's swing it back to Madeline and Strahan. I know they got some more stuff for us.
Peace.
So much love, so much of this Giants love right there. Our guy Victor Cruz, Tracy Morgan bringing the energy, and then of course Carl Banks, who's going to be on with you, and Bob Papa, voice of the Giants, is going to be reacting later tonight after the Giants make their pick. You guys are going to be on live on Giants social platforms, seeing who becomes the next New York Football Giant.
Yeah, that was fun stuff. Victor Cruz, is there anything that he can't do well? He never ceases to amaze you.
We haven't found it
Who
yet.
knew that Tracy Morgan was related to Tony Dorsett? That's news to me. And then for Carl Banks to just be chilling out in his coach's office when he got picked 3rd overall. I mean, imagine that, a 3rd overall pick, just chilling out. Didn't even know what was happening. I'm sure that whoever the Giants take at 11th overall will be ready to rock and roll, and he will have a good crowd around him to celebrate.
Very much looking forward to it. We got just under 35 minutes until the 2021 NFL Draft begins. Giants are on the clock at number 11 tonight. But now it's time to take a look back into the NFL Draft time machine and maybe take a look at one of our Giants draft memories. Watch this.
New York Giants first-round selection. Quarterback Phil Simms, Morehead State.
Trip down memory lane there. Now we welcome in the great Phil Simms. Phil, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, Madeline, thank you for good to be on there. Sean, good to see you. I love seeing that New York Giants logo, so it's always good to see that.
Yeah, Phil, always great to see you. Watching that video, it's got to bring back all kinds of memories. As you kind of heard in that video, people call them boos. Those are cheers for if you're a New York Giant quarterback, right? It was kind of a little foreshadowing of what was to come. Take us back to your mindset and what that meant to you in that moment.
Well, you know, first off, that booing there continued for 15 years until I retired, so that's the way it goes. But listen, I knew the Giants were going to take me. Quite a few teams were going to take me in the first round, but they warned me and kind of told me a few days before. And I remember when they told me, I got off the phone, I said, boy, will the people in New York be surprised when I'm drafted up there. And but it was a great day for me, of course. I didn't even tell a lot of my friends at Morehead State that they were going to take me or where I was going or where I thought I was going to go in the draft. So I caught some of my teammates off guard, but it was a great day. And I'll never George Young for having the courage to let Ray Perkins, the head coach in his first year, take me with the 7th pick. Of course, the memories, there's tons of memories I have because of that and the New York Giants.
Yeah, well, Phil, a very memorable day back in 1979. But when you look at the draft, the way that it has evolved over the years, the fanfare, the red carpet, the pageantry of all of it, what do you make of the transition we've seen from this event?
Well, you know, the NFL has changed so much in all the years since 1979 when I got in there. I can't even talk about it all. It's so much. I would never get drafted no matter what my talent was from Morehead State with our record and all that stuff in today's world because all the sports networks would just destroy me. How can you take a guy and all this stuff? But the NFL, it just continues to grow. I have friends that always tell me, oh, I don't think the NFL could grow anymore. I said, it's just starting. They're going to keep going up, and I think we see that, and it's great to be part of it.
Take us through that first year coming onto campus and coming into the facility and, you know, all right, here you are, this, you know, boy wonder 7th overall pick. You got to earn a nickname, right? So how long did it take you to earn Prince Valiant? And what was it like coming in there and trying to earn the respect of everybody?
Oh, Prince Valiant. Yeah, I think somebody wrote that or whatever. And so the players did make, and of course my haircut didn't do me any favors back then either. Not that it does now either. So, but people always ask me that question coming from Morehead State to New York and all that. And it really, I didn't look at it as a transition. And Madeline, you know, and Sean, you know that, you know, when you play football, you're on the field and all the surroundings and everything else, you just don't pay attention to it. And I wasn't worried about the press or anything like that. I think over my career, they treated the Giants and myself very fairly. So happy about that. But really, I just look back to the fact that Ray Perkins came down to Morehead State, and so did a lot of other people from the Giants, worked me out, and things went great. And I had a feeling even then that maybe he was going to have a say in this and that I'd have a really good chance to go to the Giants.
Well, and Phil, you were the first piece really of this franchise's shift and this change. Just 2 years later, after you were drafted, the organization picked LT with the second overall pick to really shore up the defense. How do you remember the transition that this team meant into a great team that it was in that era?
Well, you listen, you talk about I was the first little piece. Look, I was there, but really the first piece came in '81 when we drafted Lawrence Taylor. And I could tell so many stories about, I heard all this stuff about him, and it's not like we have even now, even 2 years later, I didn't get to see a lot of highlights of him. But I will say this, when we had our first scrimmage, they had to take him out of the scrimmage. We had to get him out because we couldn't run any plays. I think no lie, I think he had 6 sacks to start the scrimmage. They said, all right, get him out so we can run some plays and see what kind of talent we have. And he was special right from the start. And what a great teammate, enthusiasm, and, of course, a lot of great stories about how he was in the locker room, too. So I always say, Bill Parcells, thank you for all you did. And Lawrence Taylor, we had you. So, man, that really helped winning those Super Bowls, that's for sure.
Since we're going down memory lane, let's take another turn. When you got your number retired by the Giants, you kind of put LT on the spot, right? And you decided to throw one last pass to him. Take us through that moment, and what was that like? What did he say to you?
Well, okay, first, right before the game, I saw him in the tunnel before the game started. Now, I was going to drop back and throw it as far as I could to my son, Christopher, who I think at the time might have been 12, 13. And I said, will you do it, son? He goes, oh, yeah. And he would have done it. But I see Lawrence. I said, what do you think, Lawrence? If you go out for a pass, I know the fans will love it and all that. And he goes, okay, he does it. Now, I didn't realize what kind of spot I was putting him in. It was Monday Night Football, all that. So he hugged me before I threw the ball and says, please make it a good throw or whatever. And there he is running down the field with a sport coat on, dress shoes, and I throw it over his shoulder. And what a catch. And, so that's how it all worked out. And I didn't even think about what the spot, I was putting him in such a tough spot. But as usual, Lawrence answered the call.
Very memorable moment for all of us. And now as we look ahead to the way that this year's team is shaping up, Phil, I got to ask you about the way the Giants approached free agency this offseason. They made a lot of moves and a lot of signings and really shored up a few needs. What are your reactions to the way the Giants free agent signings?
I like what they've done. I really do believe in Joe Judge, and I had a great feel just being a fan and being an analyst and looking from afar. I watched every game on tape last year, and I think they're really headed in the right direction. And, of course, Daniel Jones has got to progress. Well, we know that. Sean, he will. If things are meant to be up front and everything works out, then Daniel Jones is going to have a really good year, and I think that'll make the New York Giant fans and the media accept him, to know that he is the franchise quarterback.
I got to imagine as a quarterback, though, when you find out that they went out and signed really the top wide receiver free agent in Kenny Golladay from the Detroit Lions, they also picked up John Ross, who is a speedster and is really athletic in the slot, can do a lot of other things gadget-wise. They picked him up from Cincinnati. So if you're Daniel Jones right now and you're saying, oh, man, and we also threw in Kyle Rudolph, our tight end, who's been phenomenal in the red zone for you, you've got to be pretty excited about those new players. Even though you can't necessarily throw to them just yet, you got to find a way to create some workouts on your own.
Well, yeah, you want to do that. And, hopefully the Giants, as things go on, they get a chance to get more work in the offseason and all that. I'm really looking forward to it. Saquon Barkley, I think he's going to be really healthy. My experience tells me guys coming off of those type of injuries come back in unbelievable shape and strong, and most of them play really well. So if he is back to where we all think he will be, it's going to make a huge difference in the team. There probably is going to be no excuses when this year is over, just because of what we see the Giants have done during the offseason, how they're going to fortify their team even more with the draft. And, of course, Daniel Jones having one more year of experience to rely on.
Yeah, no doubt that experience means a lot. So tonight, as we're sitting here getting ready for this draft, and how fitting that the Giants are picking 11th. Somebody's special number right there. I don't know if I'm giving it away. Are you going to read the draft pick, or am I leading to something?
Do we have some tea leaves here?
Who do you think the Giants are going to take here?
Well, no, there's nothing special here. I know you got good intuition, but I'm not going to be reading the draft pick. That's for sure. I'm going to be sitting there very anxious to see who the Giants take, and it's going to be interesting. I think there's going to be one of the Alabama receivers there. It's been written everywhere, and I hope they take one of them. Whoever it is, Jalen Waddle or Devontae Smith. To me, I am a big Devontae Smith fan. I don't care. He weighs 166 or whatever it is, but I think he's exciting. I love what he does on the field, all of his work, all that. And I think he's just a tremendous talent. If the Giants get one of these big receivers, then look out. That just does everything for the team. It makes it deeper, and it's going to be fun to watch.
Roll Tide. Howard Cross would be proud of you.
Yeah, Howard Cross, man. Howard Cross could do it all. He could block, and he had great hands too. So I think very highly of Howard, all the good times we had together.
Well, we know where Phil Simms would go with that number 11 overall pick. We'll see where the Giants go with it very shortly. The draft is coming up later tonight. Phil, thank you so much for taking the time with us today.
Madeline, thank you. Sean, always good to see you, and thanks for having me on.
Good to see you, Phil.
All right.
Sean, that was a great find digging up Prince Valiant. What a nickname. What a nickname.
Well, look, Phil can always handle anything that anybody throws at him, and he learned that firsthand when they announced his name and he had to hear the boo. So Phil's always a great sport, and I've gotten to really appreciate his humor and also just his ability to dish it out. I think he loves chopping it up and talking football, so it's always great to hear from him.
I just got to know if that haircut was part of his sense of humor or if he thought that this was a good look. And you know what? Maybe next time we have him on the show, we'll ask him. But speaking of quarterbacks remembering their draft day memories, we got a lot from Phil Simms. But let's take a look back at how Daniel Jones remembers his draft day.
I remember getting to draft day and expecting to be more nervous than I really was. I think, I was excited. It was a cool moment to have my family, a lot of coaches and people who had supported me, in Nashville with me for the draft.
The New York Giants select Daniel Jones, quarterback.
Duke. So they do love a quarterback, and it's the kid from Duke.
Right when you get drafted, it's, you're a little bit, in shock and just excited. And then hearing my name called was, thrilling. I mean, getting that call from the Giants, and I was ecstatic and, just excited for the opportunity. Through the process, I hoped it'd work out here and certainly felt fortunate that it did.
All right, well, we just saw the memory of the night that Daniel Jones was drafted, and now we're joined by the man himself, Giants quarterback Daniel Jones. Obviously, looking back at that draft night brings up some memories, but where will you be watching this year's draft?
I don't really have any crazy plans, probably just here in my apartment. So I'll be watching, tuned in, waiting to see what happens, just like the rest of us.
Daniel, I know every time you walk around New Jersey, New York, Giants fans are excited about this draft tonight. They can't wait. There's some really good receivers in this draft. Obviously, the Giants aren't sure yet who's going to be available, but I'm just curious, do you have your eye on anybody? Have you watched film on anybody? Do you know any of these receivers coming out in this year's draft?
Not really. I know some of the names, and just from watching some guys on TV kind of across the board on, at all positions, there's a lot of good players, and I think this is a deep draft in a lot of positions and a lot of good players out there. So I know we'll make a good decision, but I really haven't studied a whole lot. Just kind of know from watching and keeping up with college football.
DJ, when you saw the weapons that this team brought in, Kenny Golladay, John Ross, Kyle Rudolph, have you had some early conversations with any of these guys, or what are your early impressions of this free agency signings?
Yeah, I'm excited. I think we all are. On offense, we talk about, a lot of guys coming in and helping us, and what I think has been consistent among, all the guys that I've talked to as we've signed them and brought them in. I think guys share the same vision and the same idea of what makes a successful team, and have already, bought into what Coach Judge is preaching here and trying to instill in this program. So that's exciting for me and everyone, just to get with guys who are thinking the same, who are ready to work and come in and help build this thing the right way. So I'm certainly excited. I think we're all excited, and you mentioned 3 big time playmakers, and we're looking forward to getting with them.
I know self-scout is always a big part of your offseason as a quarterback. What's something that you're really working on this offseason?
I think the biggest thing for me is just continuing to work to get the ball out of my hand quicker and make quicker decisions. Taking the first guy that's open and just moving on, getting completions and getting the ball to the fast guys and letting them go to work. So, that's my job and continuing just to work on that through film study, understanding. I think it, certainly, on the field, throwing routes and anticipating and just kind of everything that falls into that category.
Is there a bit of a sense of urgency to get this season started on the right foot?
Yeah, I think there always is. I think, we're confident and we're feeling good about ourselves, going into the off season, but there's certainly an urgency to work and to make sure we're moving forward, taking the right step, taking the next step every day in our preparation. And, by the time we get to camp, we're in a position to where we can really push it and improve and get ready to go week one.
Daniel, in week 2, when Saquon Barkley went down, it was a big blow to the offense and of course, to the entire team. Have you talked to Saquon? Have you been around him? I know everybody's expecting big things. We expect him to bounce back, but how big of a part of the offense is he? And have you had a chance to talk to him and see where he's at in his rehab?
Yeah, he's doing well. I mean, he's a tremendous playmaker, and I think everyone across the league and everyone who knows anything about the NFL knows what kind of player he is and what he can do for a team. So we're excited. I know he's doing well in his rehab, and he's a hardworking guy. He's a focused guy and taking it day by day to make sure he's moving forward and moving along like he can. So he's a special guy. He's a special worker. I know he's been attacking this process.
Well, DJ, we know you've been working hard this offseason. We're excited to see you guys get back on the field, too. And we're excited to see what new pieces are added to this Giants team later tonight. The draft is coming up shortly. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And stay with us. We've got a lot more coming up here on Giants Draft Party Live, presented by Pepsi. We'll be back after this short break.
We're going to put a product on the field that the people of this city and region will be proud of. We'll play fast, we'll play downhill, we'll play aggressive.
Jones keeps it, he runs left, and he's in for the touchdown!
An old school physical mentality. We'll punch you in the nose for 60 minutes, we'll play every play with a relentless competitive attitude.
Giants fans, secure your seat today for only $100. Limited seats available. Call 1-888-NYG-1925.
Touchdown, Giants!
We've got to take advantage of our opportunities.
Darnay brought something to the table. It's short area quickness.
Talk us through the touchdown pass.
Yes, we're looking for the matchup.
I know y'all gonna give me all y'all got.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs and have some fun.
Welcome back to Giants Draft Party Live, presented by Pepsi. We got a couple of members of the NYPD. I'm talking about New York pass defense joining us now. We got Logan Ryan and James Bradberry on the program. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having us.
The draft is coming up in just a little bit, and a lot of memories got to come up in this time. Bradberry, I'm going to start with you here because I remember a story about when you were drafted, something about fixing a toilet. What was that memory there?
Yeah, so I remember just being anxious because, you're seeing guys, especially at your position, getting drafted ahead of you. So you become a little anxious. Well, I became anxious. So my mom could see that. So the toilet seat needed to be fixed. It needed to be fixed. She told me to go fix it. And in the midst of doing that, Carolina called me and they drafted me. So my heart was racing all over the place. It was a lot going on.
But did you finish fixing the toilet seat?
I did not.
That's fair. That is totally fair.
Oh, that's great. Well, and now after getting drafted, you could pay somebody to do that for you. You don't ever have to do that again if you don't want to, which is good news.
For sure. My emotions were so high that I forgot about the toilet seat.
I mean, that's understandable. I mean, it's a big day, a big life-changing moment. Logan, where were you when you got the call?
I was at my parents' house. I wasn't fixing any toilet seats, but I was at my parents' house. We had people watching. I felt like I was a draft slider. I felt like I slid in the draft, and I was getting angrier and angrier as people were getting picked, and I was writing names down, and I was the 13th corner drafted in my draft 9 years ago. So it's a little chip on my shoulder, but Belichick picked me up and taught me a lot of football up there, so I was glad of where I went.
Yeah, Logan, well, I tell you, that kind of motivation has definitely served you well. And it's also fitting because, you still had some motivation. I flash back to last summer, training camps started, and yet you were still sitting at home. You were still working out on your own, trying to figure out, all right, where is my next home going to be? Lo and behold, you end up with the Giants. You've got a nice new contract now. You have 14-karat toilet seats, from what I'm told. So what has that process been like, and how have you still been able to carry that motivation with you?
It's been an interesting one. I think, winning a couple of Super Bowls, playing 9 years, playing in multiple positions and playing at a high level, you'd think it was just extremely successful. But I always find motivation, man. I always think about the teams that passed me on draft night. I think about last free agency when, teams weren't giving me the deals that I felt, were fair to me and what I was worth and what I put into this league and what my value is to a team. So I really took my time and waited for the right team to step up, and that was the Giants. And I really wanted to prove to the fan base, prove to myself, and prove to everybody the player they were getting. And with the extension that I signed, I want to continue to prove to the fan base that I'm worth every dollar. So I always have something to prove. I think you got to wake up every day, and that's how I go about my business. And, that's why I've been in the league as long as I have, and I continue to be in the league much longer.
Well, and a lot of success is not just what kind of a player you are, but also where you are and the fit and the organization and the coaching and all of that. James, you're coming off a Pro Bowl season last year, your first with the Giants. How much did working with this defense really bring that out of your game?
I think it meant everything, especially when we picked up Logan. He was able to be our communicator on the back end. I think a lot of things that went wrong early on was because of communication and break down to that. So Logan came in, being the captain that he is. He was a leader. He got us going. And I feel like towards the end of the season, we got things rolling and we got on pace and we had some good things going. So being in that scheme, it helped me out a lot.
And, trending upward and trending forward, you guys are picking up where you left off, obviously, going into this next season. But you mentioned Logan being a leadership. Logan, I got to ask you, you are so hands-on in the Giants free agency recruiting. We saw that picture of you running into Adoree Jackson out at dinner. What made you kind of buy into the point of saying, I want to be a part of this?
This is my livelihood. This is what I love to do, man. I grew up watching football as a kid. And I was a fan. I'm a fan of the sport. I was a fan of people who come before me, and I put a lot of work in. And this is my dream. And I'm in a position on a team that allows me, these guys allow me to lead. They allow me to be myself. They allow me to be vocal, and they follow. They follow what I'm talking about. And I try to be, lead by example. So when it comes to getting, talented players on the team or players I've played with, players I've known in the past, like Adoree Jackson, it was a great opportunity, and I'm trying to win. I think the franchise is trying to win. I think the owner, Mr. Mara, is trying to win. Joe Judge is trying to win, and I think bringing in the free agents they did, I think they're showing that they're trying to win, and they're trying to win now, and I'm all about that.
It definitely feels like the culture has shifted. And look, before both of you guys arrived, the Giants secondary was one of the weak links on the defensive side of the ball. You guys have completely reversed that, and it's now a strength. You mentioned Adoree Jackson. I'll mention Jabril Peppers in there with you, and Xavier McKinney, the young buck who was coming off of injury last year, halfway through the season, played really well. Not just the communication, but you guys have a great relationship with Patrick Graham, and I think that's been a big part of your success. What has he meant to you guys, and what is it that he does so well?
Well, I think he understands our strengths and our weaknesses, and he also puts a lot of work, like watching film of the opponent. So he's able to set up different schemes going into the week that's going to put us in good positions to win and make plays on the ball, and that's all you can do.
When you look at the way that this Giants secondary is shaping up heading into the 2021 season, what do you anticipate this unit to look like? What is the ceiling for this group?
I anticipated to have a ton of confidence. I mean, I know you called us, the NYPD, and I know that was, the nickname of the secondary in the past. And I think that's great. I think that's very clever. I think it's creative. I'm all about branding. But I think we're going to come up with our own nickname. I think we're going to set our own expectations. I think we look really good on paper. I think we have a lot of depth. But we got to be selfless and work as a unit. And that's going to take time. That's going to take communication. That's going to take work. So we're not going to rush the process here. We're going to dive in and practice every day. And I think what makes James the best corner in the league is he practiced every single day last year, and he played like he practiced. Like he was elite every day in practice and allowed our defense to really use him to take away guys and take away half the field and made my job easy. So we're going to rely on James to be the best, and we're all going to do our jobs around him. But, we're going to earn all our stripes. We're going to earn our nicknames. And I'm from Jersey. I understand what it's like to be blue collar and how to work hard for stuff. So we're looking forward to it. But we're walking in day one extremely confident, and we're trying to be the best secondary in the league. We're not afraid to talk about it because we're going to put the work in.
Yeah, Logan, no doubt. Jersey strong from you. I think when I look at you and James in this secondary, obviously you mentioned how tough he is over there, locking down his side of the field, and you've got the middle. But in practice, that's where you guys build your identity and your culture. And the one thing that shows up is the competition on Sundays. But in practice, during the week, you guys are competing so much. So I'm going to ask you guys to compete right now with the draft going on, and everybody was focused on the pro days and speed and 40 times right now. If we went out on the field right now and you guys raced, who wins?
It depends if Bradberry's in game day shape. He might get me. But right now, I don't know. He's at that Southern Alabama food, so I don't know what shape he's in right now. But I say I take it right now. I'm a pescatarian. I'm on diet all year, so I don't know what shape he's in.
He's saying you're not working.
I'm feeling good. Right now. I'm feeling good.
Logan's over here putting an asterisk on this already.
Yeah.
Hey, pay-per-view. We'll put it on pay-per-view. If you guys want to pay for it, we can put anything on pay-per-view. If Jake Paul can get that many viewers, me and Bradberry for a race for charity, I'll definitely do something for that.
Sounds good.
We're going to get our people to talk to y'all.
We'll have the people talk to the people and coordinate this. Sean's over here
we
getting
need a nickname
done.
too. So we'll have the nickname and we'll have the event. Boom, they'll merge.
Yeah, we need a new nickname, man. We need a new nickname, guys. So we'll see in due time.
This working title of a nickname, I think, is going to come together in training camp, which is going to come up sooner than I think we're all expecting. It's just around the corner. But first, we've got the NFL draft coming up shortly later tonight. Thank you so much, Logan Ryan and James Bradberry, for joining us on the program.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you having us. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
All right, we want to hear some of these nickname submissions because I think this is our homework between now and the start of this season is to find a nickname for this Giants defense. We want to get your submissions on social media. Let us know what you're thinking. Sean, do you have any early thoughts on it?
Well, I think the Giants defense, the Big Blue Wrecking Crew is already taken. The Giants offensive line of the 80s and 90s, the Suburbanites, that's already off the table. But Giants fans are creative. And I think during this draft tonight, you've got all kinds of time and energy. The juices are flowing. Let's get creative. Don't be scared to go a little X-Men style. We've got Logan Ryan as part of this secondary. You could definitely work Logan or X-Men or some sort of weaponry into this secondary because they are that good.
We're going to have options, and I do trust the Giants fans out there to come up with some really good ones. And
get it trending.
We'll get it trending. We'll get it in front of the right people to get these all in consideration. But the draft is coming up. Before it does, though, Giants fans, with Dunkin' delivering from more locations than ever, it's now easier to get your faves fast with coffee, donuts, sandwiches, and more brought directly to your door, which is great if you don't plan on leaving the house at all today or if you have a draft to prep for. So price and participation may vary, exclusions apply, but America runs on Dunkin'. All right, we got about 7.5 minutes left until the draft starts, Sean. Very excited, getting jazzed, seeing all these guys coming on the show tonight. I feel like it's just feeling like we're getting almost to that point of the season.
They're vacuuming the red carpet, getting ready to rock and roll. And yes, the Giants fans, we're still waiting for that nickname for this Giants secondary, though, so send us that through social media.
But first, we're going to send it over to the man of the people, the man of the fans, our own Brandon London, just across the way at the Legacy Club, who caught up with some fans. Send it over to Brandon.
Thanks, guys. With the anticipation running high for who we're going to pick in the draft, no one is more excited than the Giants superfans from across the world. And I have them joining me. First and foremost, Ruben, I want to start with you because you're in Spain. You're up right now. You're in another day right now, another time zone. So tell me, how excited are you that the draft is finally here? And who do you think we pick?
Brandon, thank you for the invitation. I'm so nervous. In Spain, it's so late right now, but I'm shaking of emotion. And I think we're going to take an offensive player. I think we need more tools for Daniel. And I think Devonta or Waddle can fall to the 11. So I'm really excited because I think we're going to pick a playmaker on the 11.
Okay, I saw everyone shaking their head in unison, but you, Daniela. Do you think we're going to go offense or do you think we're going to go defense for that first pick?
I think we need to see how the draft come up, the picks before.
Yeah.
But maybe Micah Parsons is one of the strongest options there. I kind of agree with Ruben about it.
Okay.
If Devonta Smith or Waddle or maybe Pitts, that it's almost impossible. But if it happens, I think they're going offense too.
Let's talk this offseason. Sneaky, Anthony, Jeff, who are some of the top free agents that you feel like we brought in this year? Who you're excited about watching play this year?
This is the first time in a long time I've seen so many moves that the Giants have made. And with the addition of Galladay, this year I believe it's going to be Daniel Jones' year. And also with the help of Rudolph at the tight end is going to be a big boost to us. And also picking up Jackson as a number 2 cornerback for Bradberry. I mean, that just spiced up our defense even more.
Are there any other players that you guys are excited about to where you're like, this guy has to be in blue this season?
My personal thing is I'm a guy of need on top of, grabbing the biggest superstar. I think the Giants' biggest need is offensive line. If we can't protect our quarterback, everything else isn't going to help. So in my situation, I'm up for, maybe trading up for Penei Sewell or hoping that maybe Slater falls to us. Okay. And if we do go like in another way, I'm telling you, man, I've been in love with Azeez Ojulari for a while now.
Yes. Yep.
For me, I want another wide receiver.
Okay.
One of those Alabama boys will be perfect. We needed to make Galladay jobs easier.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And the more weapons we have, the easier it would be for Daniel Jones to throw that ball.
I want to thank you guys for not only being a part of this, but also just you guys reaching out constantly on social media and like inviting me on your, to your fan caves and bringing me into you guys' world. Like one thing, Giants fans, you guys show so much love, not only to the organization, but to the players, both current and former. So we're going to sign off because, we're having fun here. I'd love to be with you guys all night, but the draft's about to go down. So go ahead, Ruben.
So Giants fans de los Gigantes desde España, from Spain, a lot of love. Also Zona Gigantes, my podcast. We have a podcast in Spanish. If you want to listen, guys, we're going to be live as well tonight. We are so excited with all the fan base, Hispanic and Latino fan base. And vamos Gigantes, vamos a por el draft. Let's go.
All right, Daniela.
Well, to all the Mexican fans out there, the Mexican Giants fans, all the love, and the Giants fans all over the world too. And let's go Giants. Saludos a todos los fans en México y en todo el mundo.
All right, Anthony.
Yeah, just want to shout out to Sneaky, Daniela, all the Giants fans everywhere. I think we've had a long wait, and I think the wait is over. I think things are going to start happening now. I think Joe Judge is the coach to bring us back to the promised land. I think things are looking up. So having said that, check me out on my podcast, Wednesday nights, 8 to 10 Eastern time. It's called Sports Made with the Godfather, Big Blue Ant. And one thing left to say, G's up.
Thank you, Brandon. G's up. Let's go Giants. Draft pick. Let's go.
All right, Sneaky, finish this off.
I'm looking forward to the season. I'm so glad today is the day. I've been tired of waiting. Only thing I got left to say is, let's go Giants!
Thank you guys for joining this. I'm going to connect with you guys real soon. Let's go Giants. And Madeline, Sean, back to you guys.
Gotta love the passion from these Giants fans, especially all the way over in Spain. It's nearly 2 a.m. in Spain. Gracias por ver con nosotros. Draft is coming up under 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Sean, how stoked are you?
Yeah, great stuff. It's great seeing Sneaky G-Man, all the fans, and that segment was muy fuerte.
It was.
Great job, Brandon London. It's an exciting time because the Giants are in a great position. Sandwiched in between the Cowboys and the Eagles, they get to take a player that the Cowboys are probably going to mess up and not take, and then we get to slide right in front of the Eagles and take a defensive player that they're probably looking at. So I'm with Daniela. I like Micah Parsons. I think Giants are going to be singing in Happy Valley tunes after this selection.
Yeah, we got a cute little NFC East cluster there at 10, 11, 12 before Washington picks at 19. So it's going to be interesting to see where everyone in the division goes. And of course, You, Sean, will be live with Bob Papa, Carl Banks, analysis, and a conversation with the draft pick.
Yeah, Madeline, keep that Dunkin' running. I'm going to need some coffee. I tell you what, I can't wait to talk with this draft pick after he gets selected and welcome him to the G-Men family. I know Carl Banks will be sending him some G3 clothing ASAP. And Bobby Papa is always a pleasure to work with. He's always got some hard-hitting questions for these young bucks.
You got to give this guy some pro tips. I mean, Strahan said you've always got the ask going. You got to give us some pro tips about how to ask, and I'm sure you'll get this this young draft pick set for that as well. All right, today is day one of the NFL draft, about 30 seconds away from the first pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars being on the clock. So much yet to unfold. For Sean O'Hara, I'm Madeline Burke. Thank you for hanging out with us on social tonight. And remember, tune in right after the Giants make their pick and see these guys break it all down.